Yeah.
Hello everyone, this is Jasmine Christine Ford, and I had a wonderful day today. But I want to share with you some of the emails that I receive and questions that I get from my sexuality to my orientation to my real age to my skincare to my workout and other things, personal things that I'm not going to answer. But so I usually don't really do this too often because I'm someone that expresses myself through theater, through drama, through different mediums, but not talking one-on-one to people that I like or love even. So tonight I'm going to really talk about two things. And one is, number one, I am almost 55. That's my accurate age. I was born in 72, so never ask me again, never inbox me again. I'm tired of defending that, and I'm very proud because being Black and trans, and I shouldn't be here, quite frankly. If we go by stats, I should be dead 15, 20 years ago, right? So I'm very proud to say my age. Two, I got this other question. Let me see. Okay, so I'm not gonna say your name. Okay, so I sound white. That's hilarious. Okay, so I don't really know what that means, but I'm going to answer you. So I sound white. That is so hilarious. Okay, so I'm not sure whether that's a compliment though, but I'll take it. So what you're probably hearing is an accent from Pennsylvania. I'm from Philadelphia. I was born in Philly, but raised in this small town called Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So what you probably hear is probably like that kind of dialect, which I never really lost, even though I lived in a few different places down south and up north. I kept that particular dialect, so I'm not really sure why. So I did grow up in a pretty conservative town. I would say it was mostly Caucasian. Growing up in the 80s, most of my friends were Caucasian, so maybe I've adopted that way of speaking. I'm not sure, but that is what it is. So sorry. Okay, that is so hilarious. Okay, okay, okay. So a fan of mine, so they're a fan, and they read my book, Flight, and they wanted to actually ask me about dating. So do I date? So I'm actually kind of seeing someone. It's a little bit complicated. It's a little bit complicated, but it's kind of there. So I'm still open to dating. The kind of I do date men. Okay, that's a question. This is a female, so sorry. I do date men. Currently, that may change, quite honestly. So the kind of men that I date, it has changed over time as I've aged. I used to, like most women, like men who were like a little rough around the edges, a little street, I liked men who were the opposite of me because I was from the suburbs and I was well educated, and I kind of like the urban feel. I am so embarrassed to even say that, but it's true. I like the urban kind of like hip hop, rugged kind of guy, because it was so different than what I was used to. So those guys aren't shit, quite frankly. I found out. But currently, I date. Okay, I'm open. So who I am is this, because there's a lot of misconception about who I am as a person, because I show up very sexy. I show up very outspoken, but you don't really know my personality. So, and I come across a little bit snooty when you don't really know me. So, let me explain that. So, rather than being snooty, I'm a little shy, even though I am kind of sexy and kind of out there in terms of my body shape. I use that as a mask to actually kind of like hide how shy I am, and I'm more comfortable writing. I'm more comfortable like directing or writing a skit. I'm more comfortable like in my art, or I'm more comfortable academically, but I'm not really comfortable having these kind of conversations, right? I'm like a little socially awkward in that regard. So I do date men in my age category. So I do date men who are maybe like 45 to 60. That's a real big spread, right? Let me explain that. So I went down to about 45 because around 45, my hope is that this individual is going to have their shit together, be employed, own stuff, have a vehicle, savings, 401k, and know how to treat a person, because I'm coming to the table a full person. I'm coming to the table gainfully employed. I look good. I'm healthy. I'm built well. I make over 6 figures a year and then some. I'm a 401k. I wrote a book. I'm published. I'm well educated. I'm getting a double master's. So I'm coming to the table like a full person. Even though I'm transgendered, we're not a monolith, and I don't tolerate being treated like I'm less than, period, because of who I am. So when I walk into a room, I command respect because I give it, not because of the way I look or the way I'm built or how I am. I give respect to everyone, so I really want that in return. So the kind of men that I date, they are kind and they are warm and they're loving and they're God-fearing and they're generous, not as a rule, not really to me necessarily, but as a rule to others. Funny, because I'm a writer. I love to laugh. I write now, writing a cartoon, and that's fun. What else? So I really like someone who's warm and kind. So would I date the average Joe? I'm not really sure what the average Joe is. Okay, so to me, in my mind, the average Joe is maybe like a blue collar worker or something. That's a really great question. I would honestly, yeah, I would say that I would date the average Joe if he was very intelligent, not necessarily like book smart with degrees. That's not really important to me. But be intelligent, have his own shit together. Yeah, so I would, have kids. Hopefully their kids are grown, But yeah, so I would date the average Joe. I do not date men who wear saggy baggy pants. I do not date men who are over 45 and they like talk like they're like 19, 20. I do not date men. I do not date men who are not openly dating trans women because look at me. That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. To come to me and want to like hide me and be secret with me, I don't do that. And that's not conceit. That's someone who has grown through all of those insecurities and being the girl who I used to be someone that loved someone for many years, for more than like 15 years, and never met their family, and that was very painful for me. And that person happened to pass away, and that was a stark reminder of how painful not having that connection can be, especially when something like that occur and they have no idea who you are, where you came from, but you were there the entire time, and they had no idea who you are, and that was very sad. So I do not date men who wouldn't date me openly, nor do I wear a sign on my back saying, hi, I'm transgendered, and I don't do that either. So I'm a lady as much as I can be. So in saying that, we'll discuss like gender and sexuality. So I study sexuality. I study the cultural relativity of gender and sexuality, the intersections of sexuality and race and politics and psychology and sociology and biology. All those ologies I really study to see how they actually culminate together to create sexuality and sexual orientation, and how those identities propagate, and that's fun. So I do plan on getting a doctorate. That's my long-term goal. So we'll see how that goes. What else about myself that people are like dying to know? I don't really do this. Like, oh my gosh. Okay. I'm God-fearing. I'm a Christian. People inbox me all the time about you being transgender and you being Christian, how you navigate that. It is extremely difficult. Okay, I'll backtrack that. That was hard for me as a kid because I grew up Christian, and not just Christian in the sense that I'm Christian by way of family association. It's being saved and being baptized and all of those things. Navigating Christianity and loving Christ and dealing with one's sexuality and sexual orientation has been the bane of my existence. And that has been very, very challenging for me over the, I don't know, 40 years. 45 years actually, since I was like, I don't know, 7, 8 years old, not thinking that God was going to love you because you felt differently when you're a child, because people tell you that you were going to be different. So that's something that I had to really deal with for a very long time. And now I came to the point where I've arrived at 54 years old where I love myself more, and I care about what I look like less. Yeah. And I hope you do too. I hope that I get a lot of questions about where I look and where I'm built. I'll say this. I will say that I had transitioned very young. I was naturally very thin, petite for a male, 5'6.5", 5'7", and because of my own genetics, I never grew facial hair. I never really grew body hair. So those things, so it was easier for me to actually transition because of my physicality. Of course, I had a couple of gender affirming surgeries that actually helped me along the way. But yeah. Okay. That question I'm not going to answer. Oh my gosh. Okay. I might answer that question. Okay. So this person wants to know about me being a post-op. So okay, so I'm post-op, which means that I've had a transsexualism, which means that my penis was fashioned into a functioning vagina with a clitoris and a vaginal canal and sensation and orgasm, and so basically I'm able to accommodate a penis like anyone with a vagina, clitoral sensation, which is amazing. Self-lubricating, which is a question that I get. Self-lubricating, probably a lot, actually. And I don't really talk a lot about that because not all trans women want to go the entire way and have their entire body changed, and that's their preference. And I think that one of my frustrations as a researcher researching sexuality, in particular transsexuality, transgenderality, is a notion that one is more female based on their presentation, based on them taking estrogen, having surgeries, having more gender affirming surgeries than someone that does not. And that is a real pet peeve of mine. I'm not sure where trans women get this from. I don't see this in trans male populations. Trans men seem to be a lot more supportive of their brothers going through transition, whatever stage that may be in. Trans women, especially ones of color, seem to be hung up on looks, and they spend, we spend a lot of time being preoccupied with looks and not really dealing with other areas of being a woman. Being a woman is more than just a shape or a sway, and when you don't understand that, you really don't know what being a woman is about. Being a woman is something that you cannot purchase, you can't buy, you can't pop a pill, you can't get on a table and be slice and dice and then you're a woman. No, it's something that's innate, that you can't fake. It's something. Being a woman's hard. Being a woman is when you're selfless and when you put others first, and you're always mothering other people, and it has nothing to do with how pretty you are or what kind of dress size you can fit into. And I think that trans women miss that. They miss that, and that's unfortunate. But I wish that they would understand that more, and that would kind of help them with them along their way. I think so, because I used to be focused on my body shape and wanting to be perfect, and which is there's no such thing as being perfect, and you occupy your time trying to acquire something that is just unattainable, and you don't really deal with the internal. You don't really deal with the inside, and you don't really deal with trauma. You don't really deal with the hurt of your past, and you don't really grow as a person. You don't get educated. You don't do anything. All you do is want to twirl and shake and shimmy and what's that twerk and carry on and think that that's a woman. That you are feminine. You're a feminine person. You're a feminine person. Being a woman is something that's far deeper. It's far deeper. So I hope that you learn that. Hopefully at an earlier age than I did. Okay, so I'm not going to go any further than that. Okay, so, okay. So in closing, I'll say this too as well. I would say that thank you for all the support that you've given me for my book, Flight. My second book is coming. It's called The Client List. So in closing, I want to say this. I want to say thank you for all your support. I've grown a lot as a person, and I'm coming out of my shell a little bit more to do these little lives, which are nerve-wracking. And someone asked me something too as well. So, okay. So someone asked me, I'll say their name. Nancy from Texas said this. Nancy asked me about being confident and you're having a stutter. So yeah. Okay. So you probably know that I have a slight stutter, and I can manage that by talking slower, by slowing down. It's genetic. I get it from my father. I have siblings, and we all stutter at various ways. What happened for me when I was really young, I had a really bad stutter, and my aunt put me into theater because theater helps kids with stutters kind of maintain that. So that's why that's how I caught the acting bug, and it taught me to be confident. Having a stutter, I can kind of maintain it. I can control my speech better. And it's not why I'm shy, because in my career, I talk for a living. I talk to doctors, to scientists. I talk to pharmacists. I talk to medical people on a daily basis and Zoom calls, and I give lectures and things. So it doesn't really bother me. It just is what it is, what it is, right? So I've learned to actually live with it, and I've learned how to thrive being Black and trans and having a stutter and all those things. And if I can do it, having those kinds of intersections, right? So can you. And for Nancy, who is trans and young, if I can do this transition at I was 19 in 1991, where there weren't any resources or very little resources for trans people. I think that in 2026, with all that's going on and this political climate, I think that you can also. There's a lot more resources nowadays, and all these different platforms. And I hope that you make wise decisions, because this is a very difficult journey that's full of challenges, and it can be very painful. And you may lose people. You may lose people that you love, because you transition from male to female, and people they lose that male, whether it's a sibling or a son or a male cousin. They lose that person, and they grieve that. And sometimes grieving is like turning away, and sometimes they don't turn back, right? And you may have to leave people at the wayside while you travail forward. And that can be very painful. I was very, 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 very blessed to have my mother and my great grandmother and women, strong Black women in my family, take me under their wing, even though they didn't quite understand what a trans person was, because they were old. They knew that they loved me, and that was and that was sufficient. And whatever I was going through and trying to do, they were going to make sure that I was going to do it with the best support possible. At the time that I was doing it, it was 1991, and that allowed me to actually transition, not out in the street. I was never thrown out. I was never discarded and shunned. I was able to actually transition within my family, and that allowed me to actually garner the kind of self-esteem and love and support that kind of like molded me into who I am now. So for that, I love my family and those who have gone on and passed away. I've loved them, and that's why I am who I am today. So I tell you, in short, you may lose people, and give them the grace and the space to actually to understand that. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm not sure how long this life is, but that was fun. Okay. Thank you. So, yeah. So, I went to a modeling audition this morning, and I'll post some of that, and that was fun. And I want to actually show what a finished look looks like. So usually I do not like wearing makeup. I'm not a makeup person unless I'm getting paid to wear it. I'll do a brow. I'll do some liner. I don't do foundation. I don't like how it feels on my face. I don't care what the product is. I just don't like it. And I really don't like a lot of like wigs. So for me, a comfortable style for me is really a ponytail, because it's a very clean, fresh look. You can see all my features and my contours, and it's a nice, fresh look. And even at my age, you can still wear a nice, fresh ponytail, and you can, like put it into a bun and really be elegant and be that, no matter what your age is or your style is or your body type is. Wear it and love yourself and love the skin that you're in, right? And yeah, and that's basically it. So I'll see you. Goodbye. The Gender Experience Podcast brings you the most news with the most sass.